So I thought I'd do a quick AAR on the first flight from today. We had a few people that were killed unnecessarily. I want to go over why they were killed and how they were killed. The basic premise for this mission was that at about this position, the NOE package would begin the attack by the escorts popping up to altitude, achieving air superiority over any bandits that would be in the area, and then tornadoes would pop up right after them and start engaging SA-10s to the north and northwest. The flight responsible for this suppression was a 3-ship tornado flight. During this AAR, I'm not going to name any names. We're just going to we're going to go after their position in the flight 1, 2, and 3. They're armed with 4 alarms each, and an ASRAM, and some tanks, and a centerline GBU-24. So at this point in the flight, this ACMI was started a bit late, but the escorts already popped up, and they're engaging 2 bandit groups, one to the northeast and one to the north. There's a 4-ship Su-30s to the north that they're engaging, and there's also a J-11 and Q-5 to the northeast that they're also engaging. They're set up in a grinder and are engaging. The number 2 in the flight is a new pilot, and he's sort of oblivious to what's going on, so I'm not going to include him in this critique. So I'm going to begin the footage here. The NOE flight is, the tornadoes are approaching the target area. At this time, they should be pulling up and going to altitude and employing the harms at max range. But instead, they continue onward and they enter into the weapons envelope significantly, so that by the time they pull up, they are within medium range of the SA-10s. See, now they're popping up, and just for reference, we went over this in the briefing. The TTP for employing the alarms would be to employ them at max range or within range. I mean, these SA-10s are quite close at this point, about 30 miles. They would employ them and then brake turn, return to an NOE, and then they would behave as if they'd been fired upon. Key point is that, went over this in the briefing multiple times, they would behave as if they had been fired upon. And the reason for that is you don't know if an SA-10 is inbound, so you always behave as if there is one inbound. So right now they're popping up, well within the threat circle of the, well within the medium range threat circle of the SA-10s. And deploying the alarms. The lead here actually does exactly what he was supposed to do. He employs the alarm, and then he ripple fires 2 alarms, and then he immediately does a brake turn and employs countermeasures and returns to NOE. This little turn he did right here probably saved him from being engaged by the SA-10 that's coming. You can see an SA-10 here. Right over his right wing, there's an SA-10 inbound. I believe that was originally fired at him, and it just went ballistic due to the defensive BFM he's doing. As he's doing that, the other 2 members of the flight are doing more gradual turns away from the target. Probably because I can see 2 is probably doing that because he's trying to stay in formation with 3 or something. Not exactly sure why. In any case, there's 6 alarms in the air. Let's go ahead and jump to number 2. So as they're egressing from the target in this more gradual turn, here's a J-11 flanker, which is a Chinese Su-27, and he fires 2 Alamo Charlie, 2 A-10 Alamos at the number 2. And you know, this is a semi-active radar homing missile, very easy to defend. Just takes some aspect changes and some weaving and brake turns, and it's easy to defend. At this point, the number 2 would have been aware that the Alamos are fired at him. Actually, sorry about that. It's number 3. Number 3 is the one who has the Alamos fired at him. So he would have known at this point that they were fired at him. He would have had a Fox 1 tone on his RWR. And he's employing countermeasures. Not many, though. Only 1 countermeasure per pulse, and then that's it for the rest of the flight until he gets hit by the Alamo. You see the Alamo here? It's at quite a far distance. It's in a pure pursuit, and the number 3 here is not doing any defensive BFM. He's just flying straight, and he's not very aggressively returning to the ground. He's flying straight, No turning, no brakes. And you see the Alamo here off his 8 o'clock. Even a 3G or a 4G turn at this point would defeat that Alamo because it's a few more countermeasures, but not enough. He's NOE now, but the Alamo just flying straight. Again, you got to weave and you got to do brake turns. And dead. That was completely unnecessary. He knew that he had an Alamo inbound because he had the tone, and even if he didn't know, he should have been weaving and braking just from the SA-10 threat, which didn't do either. You can see his flight path here. Very gradual turn, not enough countermeasure employment. So let's jump back to 2 and let's see how he meets his demise. So during this time, you know, 2 is not even looking at 3. He should be, because 3 is defending against a missile. But he's just sort of flying straight and level at angels, not going NOE like he should be. There's no way you can see 3 right now. He noses down a bit, but now he can see him, but it's too late at this point. And, okay, 3 gets killed. 2 is now finally returning NOE after some time. And employing countermeasures. He's employing a lot of countermeasures now because he knows that his wingman 3 just got killed. That's the only reason why he's employing him now. The idea is to employ him before you get hit. It looks like he just blew through a lot of his ordnance and his countermeasures as well. So right now, 2 is outside of the threat rings. He's completely outside of the threat. Meanwhile, 1 is one's to the southeast, and they're basically lining up for an attack on Sniper 3, which is the 3rd SA-10. You see here in the distance. Whoops, that's not the right call sign. Okay, 1 is popped up now. Popping up to fire the the alarm at the Sniper 3. He fires an alarm, and very good defensive BFM here. Did a sharp turn, and right now his nose is pointed directly at the ground. He's out of there, and during this time, as this was happening, number 2 is firing an alarm at the SA-15, which is right on the coast where the EWR site was, and then does pretty good defensive BFM. So now the flight's rejoined, and number 2 is about to meet his demise. And another SA-10 in the air right now. Again, see, look, here's another guy who just got killed for no reason. This is Snake 1-1. Snake 1-1. Snake 1-1 is just came off the target. He just dropped the GBU on the EWR site, and at this point he has an SA-10 fired at him. He would have known. He might have known that it was fired at him. He might have had like might have mud on his raw, but in any case, you should always behave if you had SA-10 fired at you. We went over this in the briefing. You see he's flying straight, no defensive BFM at all. The SA-10 is tracking on him. Not NOE. You know, he's actually climbing at the end there when he gets hit. SA-10's inbound, no defensive BFM. Bam. Spiraling out of control and dead. Anyway, let's go back to the number 2. So 1 and 2 are inbound again. Number 2 is going to take two more shots at Sniper 3. There's an SA-10 inbound, which he doesn't know about, but he knows that he should be defensive. SA-10 is pursuing him. Okay, at this point, again, you know, this is classic what you shouldn't do. Not only does he not dive, and not only does he not brake, but he actually climbs, which makes it easier for the missile to hit him. He's in a steep climb when he gets hit. Okay? This was not what we planned in the briefing, and this is why he gets killed. If he would have done a brake turn at this time, or done any brake turn during the employment phase, he would have probably rendered the SA-10 ballistic, but since he didn't, this happens. Bam. Okay. Let's just go ahead and watch the SA-10 from the HUD camera. So it's fired. Airborne. You see it passed right by the alarms. Right now it's going over 3,000 knots, but it's slowing down as it approaches the target. See, it's only pulling at any given time. This missile's only pulling 5 Gs. Okay, pulling between 1 and 5 Gs. And there's some spikes up to 7 or 8 Gs, but you know, this is completely avoidable. If, at this point, you know, even at this point, if the aircraft made a brake turn or started weaving, this missile would not have hit him. Simple as that. Also, no countermeasure deployment by 2 as well. You can see here, he's employing no countermeasures at all. He just assumes that he hasn't been fired upon. As we went over in the briefing, you must assume that you've been fired upon. Dead. Okay. So the number 1 survived. The number 1 made it home. That's fine. Just wanted to go over these few kills, and so we can learn so this doesn't happen again. Listen to the briefing and make sure you understand what's going on before you get up in the air. Anyway, don't take it personal if you were one of the guys that got shot down. Just understand why you were shot down. This way we can improve. See you guys out.